So the past week or so for Xbox has been very interesting with a massive regime change and a new face, a new leader at the Xbox brand, that of course being Asha Sharma. Now, since this announcement, there have been several different things that have happened. We've had PR statements from the people that have been reshifted or restructured or left the company. We've had hit piece articles done painting Sarah Bond as the ultimate James Bond villain over at Xbox. But now there's kind of a sense of renewed optimism. There's talks about changes, talks about going back to the old Xbox, and I kind of want to just have a discussion with you guys about this because I feel like some of the things that are being floated out there that are allegedly what Xbox is going to be looking to do in the future don't really make much sense to me, and I'm not quite sure I buy into it, especially with the groundwork that has been laid thus far. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I would sincerely appreciate it. But let's talk about the current state of Xbox and kind of what is being signaled as the future of Xbox, which is eerily reminiscent of the past of Xbox. So as Xbox stands right now in 2026, many people view them as essentially a third-party publisher that also happens to have hardware. I think that's a fair statement to make. I don't think that's completely out of left field when you look at the way that Xbox handles their games, putting them not only on PC, but also onto other platforms, definitely removing the focus off of the Xbox console and more so about the Xbox games experience. It's obviously very different than what PlayStation and Nintendo do. Nintendo dabbles in mobile, PlayStation has been dabbling in PC and the occasional game here and there, but it seems like PlayStation is reeling that back in. New reports have been coming out that PlayStation will be removing a PC-related focus when it comes to single-player games because of whatever reason. Maybe they're not seeing the adoption rate of people wanting to buy a PlayStation 5 to play the sequels to games that come out on PC, or maybe they don't find that it's worth the effort to put these games onto PC from a monetary standpoint. Whatever the reason may be, it seems like PlayStation is reshifting their focus, and that, of course, is bleeding into Xbox as well, because allegedly that's what they're doing. But like I said, you have to look at 2026 and Xbox as a brand. I know we talked about the article that was written about Sarah Bond, painting her as a tyrant czar villain over at Xbox. You could choose to believe that. You could choose not to believe that. I've actually had discussions with people at Xbox about the situations going on, and unfortunately, I can't make a video on it, even though there's lots of good information. I can't make the video on it in order to protect them, but I will say that a lot of the things that have been portrayed about the situations going on and people leaving and stuff like that, according to the stuff that I've gotten, it's not really exactly how it seems. But the reason that Xbox has this identity of games being everywhere and everything is an Xbox is now kind of being pinned onto Sarah Bond. And that's bizarre to me. She inherited what was done by Phil Spencer and Xbox up until that point when it comes to the games and where they are and how they're played. It's not like Sarah Bond decided to put games on other platforms. That was a Microsoft decision because of the large acquisition of Activision Blizzard and Bethesda and other companies. You got to recoup that money somewhere. When you look at hardware sales of the Xbox, it's obviously not exactly lighting the world on fire. They were relying heavily on Game Pass to bolster the Xbox brand and make it the premier place to play your games with a large variety of first-party and third-party games available on day one. But once again, if you're not selling the hardware, people aren't going to be signing up for Game Pass. But now allegedly, Asha Sharma is coming in and things are changing, pal. There has been lots of discussion about Xbox going back to exclusives, Game Pass potentially being restructured, this, that, and the other. And I'm just sitting here looking at all this and thinking to myself, this is impossible. This is literally impossible to get rid of Game Pass as it is, to stop putting games onto other platforms, day and date and stuff like that. Because realistically speaking, if there was 1 year where it was like, okay, this is the year that we could actually sell some Xbox consoles, it would be the one that we're in, 2026. Look at the lineup of Xbox games for 2026 that are being either developed or published by Xbox. Just off the top of my head, we have the Halo 1 campaign redone. We have Forza Horizon 6, which goes to Japan and is going to be a huge freaking game. People are going to be playing this game for a very long time. It's also coming to PlayStation 5, as we know, much like Halo is. Fable is coming to PlayStation 5, and Gears of War E-Day. Four games that at one point in time were definitely system sellers, but I think cumulatively speaking, in 2026, that would sell hardware for you. If you could only play those games on Xbox, that would be the four games, the perfect storm of different ideas and different IPs that have lineage and history attached to them. This would be the perfect year to have a exclusive year. And that's not the case. Like I said, all of these games are coming to PlayStation 5. Forza Horizon 5 is not coming day and date. It's coming later on. But it'll probably have the additional content that is given out in Forza Horizon 6 over the months that it's not available. So are you really missing out on all that much, especially when there are other games you can play if you're not like a diehard Forza Horizon fan, or you can play it on PC. So the whole going back to exclusive thing makes no sense to me, because games take a very long time to make nowadays. We've seen this time and time again. Perfect Dark was announced. It was quiet. Then it was shown. And people were like, yeah, this looks cool. And then it was canceled. This is like 6 years wasted. Just wasted time on a game, on a project, on an IP that people were looking forward to, that people were excited for the Xbox brand, and you just shelved it. The game industry is in such a volatile state right now that I don't think going back to exclusives makes sense from a financial standpoint. And then when you start to talk about Game Pass and potentially restructuring that, I got to be honest with you. I think one of the reasons why people own an Xbox is for Game Pass. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't enough to reinvent the wheel as far as consumer purchasing is concerned. But if you start removing day one games on Game Pass and now you have to buy them, is that going to be viable for you? Because you get, what, $30 a month on Game Pass, the premium tier. The highest tier is roughly $30 a month. So you're willing to cannibalize that and hope that, you make the $70 or $80 on the front end of the sale, instead of having 3 people sign up for Game Pass, thus making $90, which would be roughly the purchase of one game, and then you get them on a continual cycle. You could charge them $30 the next month if they don't choose to cancel it. Xbox has gone too far. You've gone too. You have drilled home for years through different regimes, through different CEOs, that it's not about exclusives. That's antiquated. That's old people think. It's all about being able to play the games you want to play where you want to play them. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. Unfortunately, the writing was on the wall since day one. Many people, myself included, thought that's a bizarre strategy. I don't really see how that's going to work. But Xbox drove it home. This was the driving thing. They needed to do it from a financial standpoint. I do understand that. When you're spending billions and billions of dollars on Activision Blizzard, the biggest merger of all time, you need to make up for that somewhere. The latest Call of Duty did not light the world on fire in terms of game sales and especially in terms of Game Pass subscriptions. You thought that people were going to sign up for Game Pass. You thought that people were going to skip buying Call of Duty and just play it on Game Pass. You didn't factor in one thing, though. That maybe people just weren't going to play the new Call of Duty because it wasn't that good. Maybe people aren't playing some of these Xbox games on day one because a lot of them, Avowed, Redfall, they just weren't that good. Now, Avowed is better than Redfall by a country mile, but it's still a somewhat mediocre experience. I played and beat Avowed. I can't tell you a damn thing that happened in that story. That's how forgettable it was. Luckily, the gameplay was pretty fun. But you see what I'm getting at here? We go back to what I've been saying about Xbox for really years now. It's a very throw shit at the wall and see what sticks mentality, it seems like. You know, it's almost a desperation thing. And I can't see a world where you have preconditioned the customer, the Xbox customer, to be able to experience their game on any platform they want. To be able to not have to purchase their games, but sign up for Game Pass and then be able to play these games when they come out onto Game Pass, thus avoiding purchasing the game or something like that, and also getting access to a bunch of different games. I don't see a world where you could reshift and restructure that, especially considering one major thing that everyone seems to forget in this discussion about Xbox allegedly going back to its roots and a more traditional business model. The next generation console. That puts a monkey wrench into everything. Everything. You cannot have an Xbox console that is also a PC that also runs Steam and expect people to still buy games on the Xbox instead of using Game Pass, but also having the Steam option, and then you're going to charge this amount of money for it. Unless this console is completely retooled to be a more traditional console, it makes no sense. It's essentially a Game Pass box with Steam on it so that you can buy games on Steam, because that's what Microsoft thought the future was. And I don't see them scrapping that. I don't see a world in which Microsoft is like, you know what? The past decade, forget about it. All the things that we told you that it's about playing the games where you want to play anywhere, everything is an Xbox, forget about it. Men in Black, look at the pen, Pachoom. You know, that's it. We've changed our mind. This was a stupid decision in the first place. Good for the consumer, not good for the business end of things. And I just don't see a world where this happens. But to be fair, if it does, Colt Eastwood, you son of a bitch. I love Colt. Colt, you were going. I am coming on your show because I want you to squirm out of the exclusives are bad conversation if Xbox goes back to exclusives. We were going to have a one-on-one. It could be on your show. It could be on my show. I want to have that conversation with you. I love Colt. He's a good dude. But yeah, you know, then you have the whole fan base, the whole Xbox fan base who rah is exclusives bad. But now the industry has shifted back to exclusives is good because it sells systems. It makes money. Who the fuck thought that it didn't? Idiots. That's who. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. Is there a world where Game Pass could be completely restructured and people are cool with it? Is there a world where Xbox can go back to exclusive games? Because I don't think so. Maybe an alternate timeline. But the world that I live in now? Hell no. Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.